In previous Zoom sessions, I have tried to emphasize the very broad supply of different nutrients that are present in the plant kingdom, that the code of life and DNA and the chromosomes of the genes of the animal kingdom, which includes human beings, require in cellular synthesis to be hooked together to make bioactive molecules that carry out the biochemistry and physiology of life. And one should recognize that the code of life has instructions for a normal, healthy status in the human being, in which is translated down to the cellular level for all organs. That's where life occurs. And in the broad supply of nutrients the DNA call for, the berry family and the nut family contain multiple nutrients that are important. And those that have no nutrition education whatsoever have a hard time getting their mind around the fact that all plants have multiple nutrients in them, though we sometimes just emphasize a major one. And in the berry family, the most important one that most research has been done on has been in blueberries. So I don't want to suggest that the other berries like strawberries, raspberries, grapes, dewberries, blueberries, whatever type berry it is, elderberry, are not important. Each one of them have a little bit different mixture of micronutrients that the genes call for, but we will emphasize blueberries because there's more research in that area than others. And we'll also mention the nuts. With that, we will start with the first slide. This Zoom topic will focus on blueberries and nuts, and the blueberries are just an example of multiple berries providing numerous nutrient molecules. And in the nuts, we will focus on walnuts because more research has been done, paid for by the walnut industry. And this came to my attention because the Food and Drug Administration threatened with a cease and desist letter the company that distributes walnuts for having on its website, and then on the labels of the walnuts, go to our website for the health benefits of walnuts. And the company was threatened that they would fine them or shut them down if they didn't cooperate, that by posting the scientific papers on their website that proved the benefits of walnuts, they had made a medical claim for walnuts, and this would be illegal because walnuts have never been through the FDA new drug approval process. So that's kind of catch that's out there that you have to be careful with as you discuss nutrition, because the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 94 in the labeling section specifically states, and I paraphrase, that only an FDA approved pharmaceutical drug could claim or represent to treat, cure, or mitigate a disease or abnormal syndrome or abnormal health, to improve abnormal health. And this is a tribute to the political influence of the sickness industry led by Big Pharma. Actually, the genes are programs for normal health, and in the diet, you must provide a broad choice of nutrient molecules that can be utilized by the program in DNA or your chromosomes to assemble in the little microscopic assembly line in every cell in the body to make bioactive molecules that conduct the biochemistry and physiology of life. Now, the importance of this, I've tried for 39 years to get across the importance of nutrition to the general public that unfortunately, just like professionals, are indoctrinated with what I would call the sickness or drug paradigm, is that if you've got a deviation from normal health, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional, we've got a drug for it. And the unstated thing is you don't have to or shouldn't pay attention to the toxicity and side effects or the cost if it's in patent, because the costs are exploitive as long as there's patent protection. And we won't go into the evidence that of this excessive price exploitation, but of the berries, they all contain anthocyanins, which are nutrient molecules that vary just a little bit with every berry. And that's one of the reasons they have different tastes and different colors. And again, I quote from my past practical experience, which nearly everyone has heard, that grandmothers and mothers have said, if you want to be healthy, eat different colors of fruits and vegetables, and the berries are no exception to this. The different anthocyanins are spatial different organization of the molecules, and they vary in their charges, whether it be positive or negative, and they have a very high potential to bind to free radicals that are released inside the cell by the mitochondria that take saccharides, particularly glucose, break the carbon bond and transfer some of this energy in that bond that came originally in photosynthesis from the sun, is transferred to a phosphate molecule, which is kind of like a dry cell a DC battery type electrical power that our body uses in the nervous system and in the metabolic activity to make compounds that carry out the biochemistry and physiology of life. So this ability of the berries with their different charges to bind to and inactivate free radicals to keep them from attaching to membranes inside the cell, and especially not attaching to nucleic acids or the DNA chains, because that causes mutations. The molecules in the strands of chromosomes are a code of information, and to attach any type of new molecule to it because of the charges. In other words, if there's a negative charge anywhere on the chromosome chain, a positive free radical will be attracted to it. Or if there is a positive charge in the molecules on the chromosome, a negative free radical will be attracted to it, and it alters the information. And of course, this altering of the information of the chromosome, the worst benefit or both worst effect is the mutations that cause malignancy. And I frequently use bar magnets that nearly everybody has played with as a child, that you can have attractions and rejections by how you turn this bar magnet in your hand. And that is what molecules down at a level of a microcosmos that we can't see and humans can't enter, that the free radicals that are released have these charges and they're attract or repel just like a little bar or magnet that is a large example. And there is no probably better explanation about the problems of free radicals in that sodium, pure sodium, is explosive just to add to water, but it's very active and is required in our body to be attached to chlorine molecules to make sodium chloride, which is one of the electrolytes in our serum that's absolutely essential for good health. Yet the chlorine atom alone was used as a poison gas in World War I. But when you hook them together, this is a good example of how positive and negative radicals can come together and are no longer toxic, but essential in the life process of making salt, which is in our serum, or sodium chloride. Now, I'd like to point out again that the National Geographic Society, that gives various grants, gave a series of 5 grants over 5 years, starting the year 2000, to a researcher that was to search for clusters on Earth of populations where people live to, say, 90 or 100 or more, independently in good health. And he found them, and they're called blue zones. And I suspect that this effort of the National Geographic Society, due to its ability to disseminate information, not only with its journal, which it's had 2 articles on this, but it's published 5 books, has a Netflix video segment on the blue zones, and has there are short on the web daily information sent out to people with cell phones and computers about the benefits of the blue zones and the common denominators of all of them, which is basically a plant-based diet combined with exercise, not going to the clinic, but in these primitive areas where they don't have gasoline motors or electricity. The people walk a lot and do a lot of labor, so they get daily exercise. But these plants suppress a gene called HER2 that runs in certain families, and the incidence of breast cancer is reduced by the diets, the common denominator being primarily plant diets, and everybody having a garden and getting the benefits of plant matured fruits and vegetables. They also have done mouse studies on trying to induce cancer in them, and found out that 122 milligrams a day, or only about 4.3 ounces of plant-based nutrients can reduce the incidence of mouse cancer. And there are oncology studies going on in the current years that these molecules in the berries and the nuts inhibit growth, and also the adhesion and the metastasis and the migration of cancer cells into the body, which is a late sign of malignancy and even worse challenge to treat. Now, in the blue zones, there is a broad selection of nutrients, and this only emphasizes, as you see there to the right, the basic structure of cholesterol, which is 3 carbon cycles. And all the hormones are made by different radicals that are attached to the cyclopentanoperhydro nucleus that all the hormones are based on, which are given to you there to the left, showing the different radicals that can be attached to this basic cholesterol structure, which point out again that a lot of effort is taken to try to reduce cholesterol in the diet because it can be part of the obstructing material in atherosclerosis that leads to strokes and heart attacks. Well, that's from too much cholesterol. I have previously mentioned that the body needs balance. You gotta have enough of many different substances, but not too much. That the excess of anything, just like cholesterol, can be deleterious to the height. And the berry species provide molecules to help balance the expression of how the various monomers or molecules that are made from this cholesterol base, which is essential for life, but too much of it is deleterious, just like almost everything in human activity is too much is not healthy. Now, the blueberries in their research, as I have mentioned before, they uh, have charges on the molecules made by the berries, and they attach to, whether positive or negative, to free radicals generated by particularly the mitochondria in every cell. They also are utilized in the synthesis of vitamin K and as a source of vitamin K. And the berries, particularly blueberries, have manganese, which is an element that the body needs a few molecules of in cellular synthesis. The blueberries are a source of vitamin C, of copper, and other micronutrients that can be detected by pressure liquid chromatography that are used in cellular synthesis. So the blueberries are just loaded with nutrients. And in the 2017 Food and Nutrition Research Journal, they point out that blueberries, with their protective anthocyanin pigment, to improve vision, neurological health for the brain and nervous system, and that there are benefits for the cardiovascular and heart disease, as we were just mentioning about balance within the cholesterol and the different things that can be made from the basic structure of cholesterol, which is that big long word, cyclopentanoperhydrophenanthrene rings, which so many hormones are built on. That blueberries are a benefit to individuals that have type 1 or type 2 diabetes. It's a benefit to prevent and be a benefit in cancer. The innate mechanisms in the body to attack cancer cells, detect them, and attack them and destroy them. Also, there are about 80 types of autoantibodies where the immune system unfortunately makes an antibody that will attach to different cells in the body, and that's the reason for the 80 different types of autoimmune diseases. There are about 80 different types of cells, and depending on what the antibody will attach to by its positive or negative charges, you get some alterations in the function of those cells, which cause the autoimmune diseases. And more comprehensive nutrition suppresses this, and the berries, particularly blueberries, are a benefit in these conditions. And in the journal, International Journal of Molecular Sciences, again, they emphasize, number one, the ability to bind to and inactivate free radicals and free oxygen molecules that we've discussed before, that free oxygen molecules, you're more aware of how they react with steel to make rust, which is iron oxide, and it weakens the steel, and that oxidation of lipids or fatty materials like butter and peanut butter and other things like this, that the free radicals and the oxygen species released by the mitochondria essentially make, shall we say, the rust process or the rancidization of lipids. However, written into the program of the genes are molecules that bind to these free radicals that are called antioxidants, the dismutase, and I'm blocking on the term, the most common one, binds to this, but you can also have molecules in your diet that bind to these free radicals and free oxygen molecules to inactivate them. Now, the berries contain also tannins and egalitins, which are polyphenol compounds that prevent inflammation or swelling and redness in the tissues. And their benefit in the cardiovascular system to retard atherosclerosis. And they also reduce and protect the chromosomes that can develop into malignancy or carcinogenesis. Now, in Medical Chemistry Journal of 213 publication, they relate the blueberries as an anti-cancer fruit, again emphasizing to prevent free radicals attaching to chromosomes to cause mutations, and that blueberries block gene mutations. And this is by binding to free radicals and making them where they won't attach to membranes into the DNA. And they, in this article, referred to the blueberries as a super fruit. Now, again, these type of things that we're telling about the blueberries, because more research is done on them, but this is true of all the berries with a little bit of difference in each one of them. Now, in the Epic Times publication, it indicates that 40% of the U.S. population is predicted to get cancer in some time or another. And that this, including blueberries in your diet and other berries, that this reduces this tendency to develop cancer. And also in the coronavirus pandemic, that people under the age of 46 have more problems dealing with the coronavirus, but that having multiple types of berries in your diet reduces effects of the coronavirus. And again, the autoimmune diseases that we just got through mentioned is reduced by berries in the diet. Now, in the National Foundation for Cancer Research, they point out that blueberries are of benefit if an individual is getting radiation therapy or some type of radio synthesizing properties against malignancies, that they protect the normal cells against the damage that the radiation could occur. And they emphasize in this journal that blueberries are advocated to prevent cancer in the population. in the journal Pathology Oncology. Again, this anti-cancer benefit is stressed, and they particularly focus on that cervical cancer is caused by a strain of human papillovirus, and that blueberries in the diet are antiviral and help prevent cervical cancer. So this is research that we keep trying to emphasize. And in care of blueberries in your diet, they should all be washed due to the high incidence of pesticides being used in the farmers and in horticulture to try to keep insects from enjoying the nutritional benefits of blueberries. That you should keep blueberries out of sunlight and store in your refrigerator where it's dark or in dark containers that don't have excess moisture in the container. And this way, the fresh berries will keep up to 10 days. And they point out that canned ripe blueberries can be canned for up to 13 months, but that storage reduces the bioactivity up to 50% by canning. And so fresh blueberries have and fresh juice are better sources to get all the health benefits and nutrients that are in not only blueberries, but this extends to other berries that should be in the diet. Now, this is an interesting graph that can be repeated over and over again in the area of nutritional research. And this is just about search inquiries on the web about broccoli and cancer, that from 1984 to 2023, you see the increase in number of papers that are being produced within the nutritional sector of our diets. And the broccoli was particularly used in this research because of the cruciferous vegetable group. It's a good example of this, and that there are phytonutrients, again, that bind to molecules that are free radicals and nascent oxygen that can attach to not only the membranes in the cell and make people feel bad, but can attach to DNA and alter the code of life. And one of the important things about this is there's an SH group in the cruciferous vegetables that has a high tendency, like a magnet, to attach to free radicals that can be damaging. And before the 1980s, that medicine and science just considered the carbohydrates as only burned for energy, but we found out by this type of research into nutrients that they're much more active in the metabolic activity of the cells. And the cruciferous vegetables are really studied because they have sulforaphane that's in turnips, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, radishes, and they all have this sulfurhydryl radical detoxicant that attaches to deleterious compounds. And this amino acid that has the SH radical is cysteine. This is, if you don't eat these things, it's very low. It takes 3 amino acids to make the glutathione that I was blocking on a while ago, trying to remember, that is so important and made by the body. And the cysteine has to come from either a dietary supplement or these cruciferous vegetables, because there's plenty of the other two amino acids, which are glutathione and I can't remember exact which they are right now, but there are two amino acids that are very common in our diet. And the sulforaphanes also have that SH group in their structure, and that all the cruciferous vegetables, particularly like when people dip heads of broccoli into different sauces and eat them raw, you get much better supply of cysteine amino acids and sulforaphanes. And we have a lecture on Pottinger's cats, which showed that 40% of our diet should be raw. But in the American diet, the more berries, nuts, and fruits and vegetables, particularly cruciferous vegetables, neutralize toxins, and the very extensive public relations effort of the National Geographic Society and the World Health Organization to inform the public in all countries of the blue zones, the fact that a plant-based diet with reduced meat intake, and particularly nearly all the people in the blue zones have gardens. And so one of the things I really got my attention is that I realized that since 1994, with the formal passage of the Dietary Supplement Education Act that started the dietary supplement industry, that we have been getting a significant percentage of individuals that are getting older, they get the blue zone effects, and they'll get even more blue zone effects if they combine it with some exercise. And that Loma Linda, California, with the Seventh-day Adventists there, that are a very high percentage of vegetarians and vegans based on biblical guidance, is proof that you don't have to live on an isolated island or a remote peninsula where people are living without electricity and motors and have to, in their daily activities, get body activity. Our bodies not only require a broad supply of nutrients, but require activity to be healthy. Now, the berries have this wide molecular configuration of nutrient molecules that bind to the free radicals generated by the mitochondria, and keep them from these free radicals with their charges from attaching to membranes in the cell, which cause people to feel fatigued and just don't feel good. To the worst damage is where these free radicals attach to the chromosomes. And all the berries have this basic nutrient structure, and the different colors of these different berries and nuts is very desirable. Now, we've mentioned again about the cruciferous vegetables and how they are important to be along with the seeds and walnuts and berries, and particularly blueberries. And of course, the ultimate activity that's being promoted by the World Health Organization and the National Geographic Society is the blue zone benefits are longevity with excellent health status. And in fact, with a researcher in San Antonio, Texas, we published a paper on 670 individuals that added the dietary supplement molecules to their diet that's present in New Eden. And they were able to return to activities that they had given up 5, 10, 15 years before because they could not handle the physical or the mental acuteness that you had to have to travel, to drive a car. And these individuals went back to driving the car, getting their driver's license, going to church rather than watching it on TV, back to golf, tennis, square dancing, other activities that they had given up. And in fact, the happiest of all of those 670 people that reverse these objective biomarkers associated with the disabilities of aging were elderly couples that had given up sexual relationships because they just physically and mentally weren't up to it, and to improve their diet. It was such a general benefit that they were able to return to their relationships in marriage. And of course, in the blue zones that are being propagated so broadly now with public relation efforts, it's based on diet, exercise, a healthy lifestyle. And the author of these grants has written a book just emphasizing that finding a purpose in life contributes to the fact that you will adhere to a healthy diet, that you will take time and effort to exercise and have a healthy lifestyle if you have a purpose. And if your mate has died and you're just withering away and not active in the community or the family, you don't tend to do the common denominators that contribute to the benefits of longevity and good health of the common denominators of the blue zones. So finding a purpose in life is very important for adhering to the common denominators of the blue zones. Now, we talked about the blueberries, but those people that are not all that knowledgeable about the benefits of vegetarian or high plant-based diet often point out that the fatty acids are low in the fruits and vegetables. But the research on walnuts has shown that in the seeds and nuts, that's not only the walnuts, but other nuts have these fatty acids that are in these nuts. And this is part of the special structures that are in nature that provide what's required in the animal kingdom, which includes humans, that the DNA has to have these fatty acids in there when needed in the synthesis of biochemical molecules. And they should not forget that nuts, beans, seeds, and legumes are a very special structure because in the cotyledons in there are nutrients for the plant, for the first root and the first leaf, for the little sleeping embryo, which allows them to develop the first leaf and root before photosynthesis is activated. So not only is this nutrient for the next generation provided for the sleeping embryo, but the seed is covered with a biopolymer designed to protect the embryo and the food supply from being too wet or too dry, too hot or too cold, insects and fungus. And if you eat the whole grain with this cover, some of this protection for the biopolymers to protect this food supply in this little embryo is transferred over and absorbed in the serum to protect our cells. And a good example of this is that the brown rice and whole wheat have this protective cover on the seed, and our body piggybacks and gets not only the nutrient supply that was in the seed for the embryo, but also the protection of the cover. And walnuts are the most scientifically examined nuts. And here are some of the benefits that have been scientifically proven for walnuts that got them into trouble with the FDA by putting on their website the scientific papers that showed that this walnut, again, has free radical scavenging sources that we've kind of worn out talking about the importance in the berry family with blueberries, but there's a source of vitamin E, melatonin, polyphenols, and the walnuts reduce the LDL cholesterol. And I always point out that low density lipid, that LD stands for lethal cholesterol. You don't want this type of cholesterol. You want the HDL cholesterol, what the H stands for healthy, as I call it. The walnuts are a source of the omega-3 fatty acids and the alpha-linoleic acids, which are used in cellular synthesis and helps decrease cardiovascular disease and atherosclerosis. Also, the walnuts have anti-inflammatory swelling of your tissues and reduces heart disease and particularly problems in diabetes 2 and even Alzheimer's and in patients with cancer. That walnuts improve the gut health because they provide molecules that the healthy bacteria that are in the large bowel that contribute to good health utilize the nutrients from the walnut to increase their numbers. And in so increasing their numbers, they process the food we eat to make it available to be absorbed across the bowel wall into the serum. Walnuts also decrease appetite, and so it can be used in weight management. We keep talking about the free radicals decrease cancer, that binding to the free radicals. In diabetes 2, all the biomarkers of abnormal glucose metabolism are improved by having walnuts in your diet. And in a study of anti-aging benefit of 50,000 females, they had information that suggested there was a 13% benefit for extending the ages of years, and walnuts decrease physical impairments such as come from osteoporosis and the sarcolemma, or the muscle. As you age, the amount of muscle decreasing will, the walnuts are a benefit to keep muscle mass. Walnuts even improves the sperm count of young people, males, and the morphology and the swimming activity of the sperm count was investigated in 117 males, and it improved their activity to improve the percent pregnancy when that's wanted, and increases the sperm count as mentioned there. That walnuts contribute to improved memory, improving the learning rate, to decrease depression and anxiety in studies. But you have to realize that that you just can only say that by increasing the walnuts in your diet improves nutrition, because the law is against claiming to improve health with anything but a prescription drug that the FDA approves. And I think I mentioned before that Diamond Nuts, by putting on their website these multiple published papers that showed all the above benefits, the FDA sent them a cease and desist letter that if you don't take it down and quit informing the public of these benefits, we will fine you. And this is not a empty threat. The company that for nearly a decade that I was the medical director for a dietary supplement company was fined $10 million. And unfortunately, the board pleaded guilty to marketing dietary supplements that improved health. They did this to keep from having to pay for the legal fees against the FDA's attack. And nobody in the company wanted to be involved with a company that pleaded guilty to selling illegal drugs under the definition of the FDA, which is anything that improves health is a drug effect. And if it hadn't been through the FDA and been approved to be a prescription drug, it's an illegal drug. So this is something you cannot ignore. So with that, that's the end of the lecture about I would say, esoteric benefits of nuts and berries, and that they should be included in your diet. And I can tell you that I believe this. If you would go and check next to our microwave, you would find seeds of sunflower and pumpkins and pecans and walnuts. And in the refrigerator, you would find quite an expanse of different kinds of berries, because I believe in this and I practice it, and I urge those that are listening, this is the safe, economical, and effective way to work with nature, and how the code is in your DNA to control cellular synthesis of bioactive compounds that conduct the normal biochemistry and physiology of life. With that, I will end this lecture.